Hi, I'm Jake. 3 months ago, I had everything. A beautiful family, a promising career at Reynolds Enterprises, and a future as bright as the California sun. Now I'm sitting in a cramped studio apartment staring at photos of my kids, wondering when I'll see them again. Jake, you still coming for coffee? My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus, my former colleague and the only person who didn't abandon me when everything went south. Be there in 10, I replied, grabbing my jacket. The cafe was nearly empty when I arrived. Marcus waved from a corner table, his expression grim. You look like hell, he said, sliding a coffee toward me. Haven't been sleeping much. The custody hearing's in 2 weeks. Marcus leaned forward. Any word from Ellie? Radio silence. Her father's got her convinced I'm some kind of failure who'll drag the kids down with me. I gripped my mug tighter. What about you? How's the inside of Reynolds Enterprises looking these days? That's actually why I wanted to meet. Marcus glanced around before continuing. Richard's been telling everyone you were embezzling company funds. What? The coffee scalded my throat as I choked. That's insane. I know that. But he's building a case, Jake. Documents, testimonials, everything. He's trying to make sure you never get near your kids again. My hands shook. He can't do this. He fired me because I wouldn't sign off on those offshore accounts. Which is exactly why he wants you gone permanently. Marcus pulled out his phone. But look at this. Ellie sent it to me by mistake. Thought she was texting her assistant. The message read, Dad says Jake's appointment records at the therapy center need to disappear. Handle it discreetly. Therapy records? I frowned. I went for anxiety after my mom died last year. Why would Richard? To paint you as unstable. He's trying to prove you're unfit to parent. My stomach dropped. And Ellie's helping him. I don't think she knows the full picture. Richard's manipulative. You know that better than anyone. The bell above the cafe door chimed, and I froze as Vanessa, Richard's executive assistant, walked in. She spotted us immediately, hesitated, then approached. Jake. Her voice was cautious. I didn't expect to see you here. Spying for Richard? I couldn't keep the bitterness from my tone. Actually, I've been trying to reach you. She glanced at Marcus. Privately. Marcus raised his eyebrows. I can take a hint. No, I grabbed his arm. Anything she has to say, you can hear too. Vanessa sighed, sliding into the third chair. Fine. Richard's planning something big. He's been moving assets around, liquidating investments. Why tell me this? Because he's using your signature. She placed a folder on the table. Documents you supposedly signed last quarter authorizing transfers to accounts in the Caymans. I flipped through the papers, my blood running cold. These are forgeries. Obviously, Vanessa lowered her voice. But they look real enough to cause problems for you. Why are you showing me this? You've worked for Richard for what, 10 years? 12. And I'm showing you because he's doing the same thing to his daughter. Vanessa's eyes hardened. Ellie signed power of attorney over to him temporarily when she was having health issues last month. He's used it to transfer her inheritance, your house, everything into his name. She doesn't even know. I stared at her in disbelief. That's why he suddenly has my kids. Ellie thinks you abandoned them. That's what he told her when he moved them all into his estate for their protection. Vanessa stood. I've got to go before anyone sees me here, but Jake, Richard Reynolds destroyed my sister's family years ago. I've been waiting for a chance to see him pay. After she left, Marcus whistled low. Well, now we know why the mighty Reynolds brought you into the fold just to cut you out. Because I saw too much. The realization hit me like a physical blow. And now he has my children. Jake, Marcus began, but I was already standing up. He took everything from me. My voice felt strange, oddly calm despite the storm raging inside. But he never expected I'd take everything from him. The next morning I met with Diana Chen, a forensic accountant I'd worked with on past projects. These numbers don't add up, Diana said, tapping her tablet as we sat in her downtown office. Reynolds Enterprises shows continuous growth despite 3 failed product launches last year. Where's this revenue coming from? Offshore accounts, I replied. Richard's been laundering money through shell companies for years. You can prove this? With your help and these. I slid across copies of the documents Vanessa had provided. I need concrete evidence linking Richard to these transfers. Diana adjusted her glasses. This is serious, Jake. We're talking federal offenses. I know exactly what we're talking about. You realize pursuing this could backfire spectacularly? Richard Reynolds has judges in his pocket. I leaned forward. My children are living with a criminal who's poisoning them against me. I don't have a choice. There's always a choice. Diana's expression softened. But I understand. I'll see what I can find. Later that day, I met with Ellie's brother Thomas at his law practice. Unlike his father, Thomas had always maintained an ethical reputation, though we'd never been close. This better be important, Thomas said, checking his watch. I've got court in an hour. Your father forged my signature on financial documents and manipulated Ellie into thinking I abandoned my family. Thomas rolled his eyes. Not this again. Dad told me you might try something like this. Did he also tell you he's transferred Ellie's inheritance into his name, or that he's using her power of attorney to seize assets that aren't his? What are you talking about? Thomas frowned. Ellie never signed. Check the documents. Talk to Vanessa. She's got copies. Vanessa, Dad's assistant, why would she? Because your father destroyed her family years ago, just like he's destroying mine. Thomas sank into his chair. These are serious allegations. They're not allegations, they're facts, and I can prove every single one. Jake, if you're making this up, for God's sake, Thomas, this is your sister we're talking about, your niece and nephew. Don't you care that they're being used as pawns? Thomas stared out his window for a long moment. Dad's always been ruthless in business. But this, call Ellie. Ask her about the power of attorney. See how she reacts. He hesitated, then reached for his phone. The conversation was brief, but Thomas's face told me everything I needed to know. She doesn't remember signing anything permanent, he said after hanging up. She thought it was just for medical decisions while she was recovering. Your father lied to her, just like he's been lying to everyone. What do you want from me, Jake? Access to Reynolds Enterprises' legal archives. There will be patterns, other victims. I need to find them. Thomas rubbed his temples. If what you're saying is true, it is. Then I can't be directly involved. But he wrote something on a business card. This is the passcode to the digital archives. I'm not giving this to you, understand? And if anyone asks, this meeting never happened. As I stood to leave, he called after me. Jake, the kids ask about you every day. My throat tightened. Tell them I'm coming for them. The final piece came from Marcus, who'd been monitoring internal communications at Reynolds Enterprises. You're not going to believe this, Marcus said, practically vibrating with excitement as we met in a park far from prying eyes. Richard's planning to announce a massive expansion next week. New factories in Southeast Asia, government contracts, everything. Built on dirty money, I muttered. Exactly. But here's the kicker. He's bringing in outside investors, big names who have no idea they're walking into a fraud scheme. I felt a surge of cold clarity. When's the announcement? Thursday. Big gala event at the Reynolds estate. Everyone who's anyone will be there. Including Richard's family? Ellie and the kids will be front and center. Richard's playing the doting grandfather angle hard. Then that's when we move. I showed him the evidence I'd gathered from Diana and Thomas. We've got enough to bring him down, but I need to make sure Ellie and the kids are protected when it happens. Marcus nodded slowly. I might have an idea about that. The night of the gala arrived, the Reynolds estate glowing with elegant lighting as luxury cars lined the curved driveway. I straightened my tie, tucked Diana's financial evidence into my inner pocket, and nodded to Marcus, who was working security for the event. You sure about this? Marcus murmured as he discreetly let me through a side entrance. Never been more certain of anything in my life. Inside, the mansion buzzed with Silicon Valley's elite. I spotted Ellie immediately, stunning in a blue gown, our children dressed in matching formal wear beside her. My heart ached seeing them so close yet unreachable. Thomas approached me first, eyes wide with alarm. What are you doing here? If Dad sees you... I'm counting on it, I replied calmly. Richard was holding court near the main staircase, champagne in hand, laughing with potential investors. He froze mid-sentence when he saw me. Security! He barked, but Thomas stepped between us. Let him speak, Dad. Richard's face darkened. You invited him? No, I answered, moving closer. I came to return something that belongs to you. The room had grown quieter, attention shifting to our confrontation. Ellie pushed through the crowd, keeping our children behind her. Jake, what are you doing here? Her voice trembled. Telling the truth, finally. I turned to address the gathering. Richard Reynolds is announcing an expansion tonight built entirely on fraud, money laundering, and stolen funds, including his daughter's inheritance. Richard laughed, though his eyes remained cold. This man is delusional. He was fired for financial impropriety. That's a lie, I interrupted, pulling out documents. These are the real financial records of Reynolds Enterprises, showing systematic fraud over 5 years. And these, I produced another set, show how Richard forged my signature to implicate me when I discovered what he was doing. Get him out of here, Richard snarled at security. Vanessa stepped forward. The documents are authentic. I notarized the originals myself. Richard's face contorted. You treacherous. You promised my sister a settlement 15 years ago when your product killed her husband, Vanessa said, voice steady. Then you buried her in legal fees until she took her own life. I've been waiting for justice ever since. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Ellie had gone pale, staring between her father and me. Ellie, I said gently, your father manipulated your power of attorney to seize control of your inheritance, our house, everything, all while telling you I abandoned our family. That's absurd, Richard snapped. Ellie, don't listen to him. Ellie turned to Thomas. Is it true? Thomas couldn't meet her eyes. I've seen the document, sis. The signature on the power of attorney is yours, but the document has been altered. Richard lunged toward me suddenly. You ungrateful nobody. I made you. I can destroy you just as easily. Security guards moved to restrain him, but not before he grabbed my collar. I'll make sure you never see those kids again, he hissed. That's enough. Ellie's voice cut through the chaos. Dad, tell me the truth, now. Richard straightened, adjusting his suit. Everything I did was for this family, for the company. Did you steal my inheritance? Did you lie about Jake? I protected you from his incompetence. Those children deserve better than him. The room had gone completely silent. 2 men in suits emerged from the back. FBI agents Marcus had contacted. I'm sorry, Ellie, Richard said, his voice suddenly conciliatory. I made mistakes, but everything can be fixed. We're family. We can work through this. I stepped forward. There's no fixing what you've done. No working through it. You didn't just attack me. You used your own daughter and grandchildren as weapons. Jake, please, Richard's tone turned pleading. I was wrong. I admit it, but don't destroy everything I've built. For the children's sake. Don't you dare invoke my children after what you've done, I said, my voice ice cold. There's no forgiveness here, no reconciliation, just consequences. As the agents approached Richard, he made one desperate lunge toward me, his fist connecting with my jaw before security pulled him away. You'll regret this, he spat. All of you. Ellie watched in stunned silence as they led her father away. 2 months later, I sat in the district attorney's office with Ellie, Thomas, Diana, and our lawyer. The prosecutor, Sandra Winters, laid out document after document on the conference table. The case against Richard Reynolds is airtight, Sandra explained. Financial fraud, forgery, tax evasion, witness tampering. He's looking at 15 to 20 years minimum. And the company? Thomas asked. Reynolds Enterprises will survive, but with significant restructuring and oversight. Sandra gathered her papers. Your father's assets have been frozen, but we've managed to separate legitimate family holdings from the criminal proceeds. After she left, Ellie turned to me. The house is back in our names. You can come home now. I hesitated. It's not that simple, Ellie. The children miss you terribly, her eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry I believed him. I should have known. Your father is a manipulator. He used your love and trust against you. Diana cleared her throat. I should give you privacy. No, stay, I said. There's still business to discuss. Thomas nodded. The board wants you back, Jake, as interim CEO while we sort through this mess. And why would I help save the company that almost destroyed me? Because despite everything, it's still the children's inheritance, Ellie said softly. And because you're better than my father, you always were. Later that evening, I visited Richard in the detention center. He'd aged decades in weeks, the imperious businessman replaced by a hunched figure in an orange jumpsuit. Come to gloat? He asked as I sat across from him. I came to make something clear. I'm taking the CEO position. Richard's eyes widened. They offered it to you? After everything? I'm going to rebuild what you destroyed. Not for you, for your grandchildren. I was trying to protect them, Richard insisted. Everything I did, save it. I didn't come for excuses or apologies. Then why are you here? I leaned forward. To tell you that your grandchildren will know exactly who you are and what you did. No lies, no manipulations, just the truth. They're children. They need their grandfather. What they needed was a grandfather who didn't use them as pawns in his games. I stood to leave. The company will survive. Your family will heal. But you won't be part of any of it. Jake, wait, Richard's voice cracked. I made terrible mistakes, but we're still family. Someday you'll have to forgive. No, I cut him off. I don't have to forgive anything. That's the thing about betrayal, Richard. Once the trust is gone, it never comes back. As I left the detention center, my phone buzzed with a message from Ellie. Kids want to know if you'll be home for dinner. Outside, Marcus waited by his car. How'd it go? Exactly as expected. I showed him the message from Ellie. He's lost everything. His empire, his reputation, his family. And you've got your kids back. That's all that ever mattered. I looked back at the detention center one last time. You know what the strangest part is? He truly doesn't understand what he did wrong. Narcissists never do. Marcus started the engine. So what now, back to normal? I shook my head, typing a reply to Ellie. There's no going back, only forward. As we pulled away, I wondered, what would you do if someone took everything you loved? How far would you go to get it back? And most importantly, would you recognize yourself when it was over?